Hey there, it's Corey here with AM Group Exteriors. I'm here to do a deep dive on closing with integrity. So let's just dive right in. So, closing with integrity is something that matters a lot to me. I've worked in sales for quite a few years, and basically during that time, I've seen every practice imaginable when it comes to how sales guys will act. And it's just been an ongoing frustration of mine, which is why this particular topic resonates with me so much. Basically, when we look at how we close with integrity, it's very well justified by the why we need to be closing with integrity. So when we really start to get into it, why does integrity matter? Integrity matters because customers, just on a fundamental level, to be good people and to feel happy about what we do at the end of the day, we should be trying to do things with integrity. Like that's absolutely, hands down the biggest foundation to any type of career in sales or any type of situation that you might be in with someone who you're ultimately trying to get to spend some money with you. Customers, they're people, right? And we all as individuals, as people, have intuition, and we rely on our intuition to get us through day-to-day stuff. All of our interactions with store clerks, with in-home salespeople, with people we speak to on the phone who are representing a company that we need a service from. There are all these different interactions that we do on a daily basis, and there's trillions and trillions of neurons in our brain that relay information and compile that information, and they figure out, they try to summarize in a simple format, like, is this person trustworthy or aren't they? Is this a situation I feel threatened by or isn't it? And the whole point of the sales system is for us to basically, get our clients to like us, trust us, and see ultimately, combined with those two different things there, those are the pillars of them choosing who's going to end up doing the work. And at the end of the day, like all the different, stuff I was talking about the brain before, that is how customers are going to make their decisions a lot of the time. The reason why we are able to sell at a higher price point, at a higher clip than everyone else, has a lot to do with trust. And if customers think that they see or hear or feel something fishy or something like BS, that's going to be something that's really going to hold them back from making the right decision and choosing a company that genuinely does care. Now, when we look at it, there are some preconceived notions that our clients are going to have before we even come out here. And we talk about these all the time. Three of the biggest ones that I could boil it down to is dishonesty. You can see that there. Greed and desperation. So dishonesty, that is, it's really, really simple. There is, we are going to their house to try to get them to spend money with us. At the end of the day, we are trying to help our customers, but we're also trying to help our company, and we're trying to help ourselves. That alone is enough for a lot of people to assume that we aren't the most honest people. Because whenever there's money on the line and you're trying to get their money out of their pockets and into the company's bank account, in its crudest sense, that's where a lot of people think this is coming from, and that's why we don't get perceived automatically as honest. So they would more likely assume that we are dishonest people when we first come out. But the second part of that, and it ties directly in with the first point, is greed. Salespeople have a terrible reputation of, what's in it for me? What can I get out of this customer? What can I get out of this situation? And that greed is something that is really going to hold a lot of customers back from making the right decision, because they already have an assumption that every single person who comes out there is out there to extract money, extract their hard-earned savings, extract their Christmas bonus, try to get them to spend that with us. And that greed is obviously very off-putting. Anyone who is going to be doing things strictly out of self-interest probably doesn't have the best interest of the customer at heart. So if you combine dishonesty with greed, now you're really, customers are going to get their backs up, and, they're not going to make the decision that we ultimately want them to make, and ultimately that we know is best for them. And the last thing there is desperation. Salespeople, I spent a lot of time in this vein of work, in this career. There are a lot of desperate salespeople. There are lots of organizations that try to put a high pressure environment in there, to try to incentivize people to be their best selves. So staff turnover ends up being really, really high. Jobs are really easy to lose and hard to get. And at the end of the day, especially if you're a commission-only salesperson, it is really easy to come off as desperate when you haven't had a win for a few days or a week, or could go even upwards of a month sometimes without making any money. That desperation can really start to shine through, especially when we're focused on step 8 and we're in the close, right? So dishonesty, the perceptions of dishonesty, greed, and desperation are we really work hard at chipping away at those in steps 1 through 6. Steps 1 through 6 are designed to abolish those words from the customer's perception of us, and what they're designed to do is what those steps are designed to do is get us to a place where now we are honest people who are only there to look out for our customers and make sure that everyone is going to be happy and looked after, and to make it look like we are confident that people are going to use us as long as the money works out. But if we need to maintain when we change that perception in step 1 through 6, we can't then revert back to dishonest, greedy, and desperate sales tactics once we get to step 8. What we're ideally trying to do here is in steps 1 through 6, change their perception, going from dishonest to honest, going from greedy to caring, and going from desperate to genuinely trying to help, to make sure that our customer sees us as having their interest above all else. And when we get to step 8, it's really, really difficult when we're in that close to try to maintain that honesty, that integrity, and that genuine caring that we have been trying so hard to convey to the customer. It can be really, really difficult when the money's actually on the line. And where a lot of sales systems and a lot of sales people go wrong is they start bringing in high pressure sales tactics. Instead of keeping the pressure right in the middle like we try to do, they keep the pressure up here because all they want is just that same day sale. But when your focus is on this stuff and this stuff only, that's when we end up with wildly different outcomes, depending on which type of sales system that we're using. So when we look here, if they have an unchanged perception in steps 1 through 6 or in step 8, then we're going to struggle to walk up the mountain. That's one of the biggest things that's going to go wrong. Struggling to walk up the mountain, we have this beautiful thing called Mount in the Rodney Webb University, where we're just trying to figure out what this customer is actually saying to us and try to find a solution for them that is going to help them be able to afford the job that they need to have done, the job that they want to have done with the right company. And, because we are not a cheap company and we're not a cheap organization, it can make it harder for people to do that. So that's why we want to make it as easy as possible to walk up the mountain. And if our clients don't see us as honest people with integrity, they're not going to cooperate in helping us walk it up the mountain. Like, it basically becomes a situation where it's like, send me an email, I'll get back to you. And they never do, right? So with the unchanged perception, it's harder to walk it up the mountain. There's no option left really but to price drop, which is your lawn sign close or your manager discount close, or you're going out and being on the phone for 15 minutes trying to work out a better deal. That's not something that we want to do, because again, all that credibility we spent building up from steps 1 through 6, we've now just thrown it out the window. And now we're that greedy, desperate, dishonest salesman that they never wanted to have come out in the first place. And now all we're doing is competing on price. Now, if the only option we have available is to just drop our price, then everyone loses, because the company is not going to be as willing to go out and actually fulfill their promises the same way that we deliver them. We're not going to get paid the same amount of money for our craft, the thing that we spend our lives doing, and the thing that, we hinge our family's well-being on. The customer is ultimately going to lose, because now all they have is just another cheap roofing company in front of them that is trying to get to that bottom dollar by whatever means necessary. And we all know what can happen, when you pick a shady contractor who just tries to be cheaper than everyone else. So if we can't change that perception, steps 1 through 6 and step 8, then, ultimately, again, it's going to make that customer's decision really easy. They're just going to go with someone who's cheaper, right? So we don't want to be left in that position. And we also don't want jobs to cancel. High pressure closes equal high cancellation rates. In Ontario and most places in North America, there's a 10-day window that for any reason you can cancel your contract with a home renovation company. And the reason for that is very well founded. High pressure sales tactics and guys who will do anything to try to get someone to sign up on the day. Those are the kind of people who've given this whole industry an absolutely terrible reputation. And because they have that absolutely terrible reputation, what that means, or because that reputation is so widespread, throughout the industry and through history, it means that now we have to work extra hard, and we have to prove that we do our job with integrity the entire way through. Whether that is introducing ourselves, showing up on time, being honest with the customers, being very transparent about how the install process is going to go, and then helping them figure out how they can afford to use a company that is going to look after them. Now, if we can change these perceptions, we have some really, really positive outcomes. First off, we have an easy path up the mountain. That's the first thing. We have a lot easier time, because the customer is now going to say, you know what, Corey or whoever is here to help me out, and I want to help him help me. So all of a sudden now they'll be a lot more honest and open with their responses. And now we're able to figure out, how we can walk that up the mountain and get it to a good place for us to be, and ultimately a good place for the customer to be, because they get to use us for their work. Now, the second big change there is they basically pay a fair price for a job well done. Again, getting a cheap roof isn't good if the follow through from the company who installed the roof isn't going to be there. A cheap roof is not a good thing if someone is just going to come out and install everything the cheapest possible way, using the cheapest possible labor, in an effort to keep their prices down, because that roof is just going to have to get replaced in a couple of years. And if someone has paid next to nothing for their roof in the first place, that company is much less likely to actually come out and fix any of those problems in the future. So, we need to show our customers, hey, there are reasons why we need to charge the prices that we charge, but having them pay those prices that are what we need to survive as a company means they are in turn going to get a great level of service and ultimately benefit from a job well done. And one of the last big points is, when we do our post-close, our step 10, and we ask that question, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, what made you decide to buy from me today? And they give us that answer, and they say, we bought from you today because we feel like we can trust you. We feel like you have the integrity, and the company has the integrity to get the job done that we want to have done for our house. And they don't cancel. The worst thing that can happen to a salesperson is not being told no in the house. The worst possible thing that can happen is being told no after you're gone. If you get told no in the house, you have some element of control there. If they send an email to the office or a phone call to the office and tell them that they're canceling, there's almost no chance of being able to save that now. because you don't know what they needed in order to make it, comfortable for them. And the reason why we need to structure our close the way that we do is, using stuff like the walk of life, the 167 and all that. It's just to keep it on the right track and keep that pressure right in the middle. We don't want our customers to think that we're high pressuring them. We don't want to use any of these bogus, well, if I pop a lawn sign in your front lawn, can I get your job started? What they're going to do is they're going to say, nope, we feel like we got looked after in every conceivable way. We feel like we're going to get looked after in every conceivable way, and we are going to follow through on our commitment to Corey or whoever it is sitting down with them, because we feel like he has a higher level of integrity than anyone else who's come out to help us. So ultimately, that's what we're trying to do there. We want to make sure that, that end result, when they see the fact that we are doing our best to help them rather than just pressure them to buy from us, the result is we just continue on with that upward trend. And the better we get at keeping that pressure in the middle, in the close, and making sure that we use the tools at our disposal to just keep the conversation going in the right direction, the results are going to go like this. And we just want to have that continuous, slow, progressive growth, that upward trajectory that is going to mean a long, stable career. It's going to mean good revenue for the company, and it's going to mean a happy and growing base of past customers who are going to help improve your reputation in the community, take your reference calls, and leave good reviews and stuff like that, and come back to you later on, especially if you're a multi-service company, for more services in the future. And all that, a really, really big part of that revolves around that integrity that I've been talking on this whole time. So ultimately, the end result is a win for us, the sales rep. It's a win for the company. But the most important one, it's a win for the customer. Because now they know that after all the time we spent building up credibility, that we used integrity to help get it to a place where they could afford to get the job done that they need and deserve. And ultimately, like I said, it's a win-win-win for everyone involved. So that is the reason why closing with integrity is so important. And it's something I firmly believe that everyone needs to focus on as much as possible. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you're working in sales, integrity is absolutely number one. And focusing on closing with integrity in step 8 is an absolutely crucial component of the whole integrity conversation. So that's what I have to say on the matter. And I hope you liked it.